All right, guys, so we are going to start going over the worksheet that you need to go through to make sure that you understand for the quiz redo. I'm going to go through each question. If you get the answer correct, then just put a little check mark next to it and put what you get out of the total 9 questions. Number 1, it says the pet store is selling puppies for $50 each. It has 8 puppies to sell. Sketch a graph for this situation. So the two things that are changing are the number of puppies and the profit. So since the profit depends on the number of puppies that are sold, profit is your dependent, so that's going to go on your y. So profit and the number of puppies sold is your x-axis. Well, there's only 8 total puppies, so you can sell 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8. And since you make $50 each, your profit could be 50, 100, 150, 200, 250, 300, so on and so forth. So if you sell 1 puppy, it's $50, 2, 100, 3, 150, 4, 200, 5, 250, 6, 300. And you would not want to connect them. You'd want to keep it discrete because it's a specific number. Anytime it's a specific number, it's going to be discrete. Number 2, Francisco's heart rate increases steadily as he does some warm-up exercises. He then maintains a steady heart rate for several minutes as he jogs. Finally, the heart rate slows down to normal with his cool-down walk. Sketch a graph to show his heart rate over time as he exercises. So since his heart rate depends on the time, his heart rate and the time here. And you know that it increases steadily. So he doesn't start down here at 0. He does have a heart rate, so it increases steadily as he does some warm-up exercises. Then he maintains a steady heart rate. So it's steady for several minutes as he jogs. Finally, it slows down to normal with his cool-down walk. So it slows down to normal with his cool-down walk. There, we sketched it, and it is continuous. Number 3, express the relation as a table, a graph, and a mapping. So you have this relation. As a table, you have x and y. So your x values are -2, -1, 1, and 3, 5, 4, 3, and 4. For your graph, you need to make a coordinate plane with arrowheads. Make sure that you have labels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -1, -2, -3. So then you graph them, -2, 5, -1, 4, 1, 3, and 2, 4. And you do not connect them because these are your only ordered pairs. And then for a mapping, you have 2 ovals. These are your x's. These are your y's. You have -2, -1, 3, +1, and 3. Your y's, if you go in order from least to greatest, you just have 3, 4, and 5 with no repeats. Then -2 maps to 5. So make sure that you have an arrowhead from 2 to 5. -1, 4 from -1 to +4. +1 to 3. Arrowhead, and 3 to 4. And this isn't a question, but yes, this is a function. Number 4 says give the domain and range and tell whether it's a function or not and explain. So your domain here, remember, is your x values. This is a continuous graph. So if you look at your x-axis, it goes all the way from -3 and it touches every x all the way to 2. So x is sandwiched between -3 and 2, and -3 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 2. Your range, if you look at your y-axis, goes everywhere from down here, which is -3, all the way up here, goes even higher, all the way up here to +4. So your y went from -3 all the way to 4, and -3 is less than or equal to +4. And is this a function or not? No, it's not. Because if you do the vertical line test, Right here, it touches it infinitely many times. Here, it touches it twice. It fails the VLT. Letter B, these are distinct points. So your domain is the set of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Your range is the set of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 as well. And yes, this is a function because each domain maps to one range value. And then letter C, your domain here, these are your X, these are your Y. If I put them in order from least to greatest, is 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And your range is just the number 4. This actually, yes, is a function because every X only has one arrow coming from it. Every domain value has one range value. Every domain has one range value. All right, to the back. Number 5. Number 5, identify the independent and dependent variables and write a rule and function notation. A buffet charges $8.95 per person. So since the number of people and the total charge are your two things, the total charge depends on the number of people. So your independent and your dependent. Your independent is your total cost, and your dependent or your independent is the number of people. And since it says write it rule and function notation, you'd have f of x equals 8.95x. Letter B, they charge $1.30 for weekly plus $1.50 per mile. Since the total charge depends on the number of miles, your dependent is your total cost, and your independent is the miles driven. Your total cost, which is your y or f of x, will be f of x equals, it's $1.50 per mile times x plus $130. Number 6 says evaluate it for f of x equals 6x minus 1. Find f of x when x equals 3.5 and when x equals negative 5. So you need to substitute them in here. So you have f of 3.5 equals 6 times 3.5 minus 1. 6 times 3.5 gives you 6 times 3 is 18. 6 times 0.5 is 3. 18 times, or 18 plus 3 is 21. Minus 1 equals 20. So your ordered pair would be 3.5, 20. When x equals negative 5, now you plug negative 5 in. F of negative 5 equals 6 times negative 5 minus 1. 6 times negative 5 is negative 30 minus 1 equals negative 30. So what is x when y is what is y when x is negative 5? Well, negative 5 is your x value. Your y value, or f of negative 5, is negative 30. So you have your two ordered pairs. Number 7, write a function to describe the situation. Find a reasonable domain and range for the function. A theater can be rented for exactly 2, 3, or 4 hours. The cost is a $100 deposit plus $200 per hour. So you know that f of x, which is your dependent, is actually your cost equals a $100 deposit plus 200x, where x is your hours. Remember, domain is your x, and x stood for the number of hours, so it could only be 2, 3, or 4. Your range are your y's or your f of x. So you want to know, well, when x is 2, what is y? So you would do f of 2 equals 100 plus 200 times 2, which would be 100 plus 400, which equals 500. So your first range value is going to be 500. Then plug 3 in, and you're going to get 700. Plug 4 in, and you're going to get 900. Those are the only values that you can have. Number 8, graph the function for the given domain. Since you're given a domain, it's going to be discrete. So let's go ahead. First thing you want to solve for y. So subtract 3x from both sides. So you get y equals 4 minus 3x. So when you have your domain x and y, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2, and we substitute them in, you have y equals 4 minus 3 times negative 1. Negative 3 times negative 1 equals positive 3, so it's plus 3. 4 plus 3 equals 7. Y equals 4 minus 3 times, now plug 0 in, negative 3 times 0 is 0. 4 minus 0 equals 4. Y equals 4 minus 3 times 1. Negative 3 times 1 equals negative 3, so you have 4 minus 3, which equals positive 1. And last but not least, y equals 4 minus 3 times 2. Negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. 4 minus 6 equals negative 2. So now we can just go ahead and plot our points. Negative 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You had to go off it a little bit, but that's okay. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 1, 2, negative 2. And you have no line because it's discrete because you are given a domain. Our last one says graph the function y equals x plus 3, the absolute value of that. So since you don't have it, this is going to be continuous. And you can pick any x values you want. Now we normally pick negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2. But just for the sake so you'd see the pattern that it should be a V, I'm going to pick negative 3 and negative 4 as well so that you see it. When you plug negative 2 in, y equals the absolute value of negative 2 plus 3. Negative 2 plus 3 is positive 1. The absolute value of positive 1 is 1. Y equals the absolute value of negative 1 plus 3. Negative 1 plus 3 is positive 2. The absolute value of 2 is 2. Y equals the absolute value of 0 plus 3. 0 plus 3 is 3. So the absolute value of 3 is 3. Y equals the absolute value of 1 plus 3. So you get the absolute value of 4, which is simply 4. And I bet you can guess what 2 is. And I'm going to say it right. Y equals the absolute value of 2 plus 3, which is crazy that it's absolute value of 5, which is 5. Now you're going to see why I wanted to use these two in a minute. Be ready to be amazed. Y equals the absolute value of negative 3 plus 3, the absolute value of 0, which is straight up 0. Oh man, and last, y equals the absolute value of negative 4 plus 3, which equals the absolute value of negative 1, which is 1. If we didn't have these ones, we wouldn't see the pattern. So we have negative 1, 2, positive 1, negative 1, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 1, 4, 2, 5, negative 3, 0, and negative 4, 1. See, if I hadn't added those, it would have just been a straight line, and we wanted it to be a V. So I added those on there, and you want to make it continuous. So make sure if you have a question, you can rewind it, but be ready for your quiz redo.